On her first day at school, she was bullied by the school bullies. But these people should never have picked a fight with someone who came with a vengeful spirit attached, because inside this girl's body resides the most terrifying ghost mother from Northfield legend. It is an extremely possessive and protective dark deity. Most of the time, it lies dormant inside the host like a motherly presence. But once the host is intentionally harmed, it immediately turns dark and becomes the most ruthless death-dealing spirit. Because of this, Aya was forcibly sent by her family to an isolated all-girls island school. The place is surrounded by ocean on all sides, with no way to escape. Rather than calling it a school, it is more like a prison built to lock up troubled girls. The entire island is filled with women. The only male is Wayne, who operates the ferry. Here, survival of the fittest is the only rule. The newly arrived Aya can only fall to the very bottom of the food chain. To establish dominance over her, the school bully M deliberately placed her in the darkest corner of the dormitory. The bedding was crawling with cockroaches. Just looking at it was enough to make your skin crawl. In order to survive here, Aya could only swallow her grievances and anger, but her restraint in their eyes was seen as weakness to be taken advantage of. That night, Aya, half asleep and half awake, kept feeling a dark shadow watching her by the bed. She tried to go to the bathroom to calm herself down, but as soon as she turned around, the bathroom door started banging loudly. Before she could react, a bucket of foul-smelling sewage was poured down on her. It soaked her completely, sending a chilling shock through her body. Outside the door came the wild laughter of M and her group, but they had no idea at all that this bucket of filthy water had already awakened the dormant evil inside Aya. Early the next morning, the hellish torture had only just begun. The school had a strange rule. Housing is provided, but no meals. If you want to eat, you have to work for it yourself. As a newcomer trampled underfoot, Aya was forced to take on all the dirtiest jobs in the school. Not only did she have to clean everyone's waste, but also fetch water from a deep well. While she was struggling to pull up the bucket, she accidentally cut her palm on the iron chain. Just when Aya was completely isolated and helpless, Wayne, the ferry operator, stepped in to help her lift the bucket. He even tore a piece of his clothing to carefully bandage her wound. This long-missed warmth made Aya think she had finally found a savior, but she didn't know it was actually a death sentence in disguise. That night, Aya dragged her exhausted body to the bathhouse to wash up. Unexpectedly, fate brought enemies together again. She ran straight into M and her gang. The familiar bandage on her hand naturally caught M's attention. After all, Wayne was the man she had been chasing for a long time. In M's mind, she had long already claimed him as her personal possession. At that moment, a woman's jealousy completely turned into murderous intent. Late at night, while everyone was fast asleep, she quietly crept to Aya's bedside holding a sharp knife. Just as she was about to do something, M suddenly felt a freezing touch and shuddered violently. Before she could even recover, a bell sound rang out behind her. A dark shadow flashed past the doorway. She assumed someone was trying to scare her on purpose. Holding a lamp, she chased after it all the way to a dead end by the stairs. Even though she didn't see the person's face clearly, Aya was the only one she had been bullying recently. She was convinced that Aya was trying to get revenge. That afternoon, AIM gathered her group and surrounded Aya. This time, she intended to teach Aya a lesson she would never forget. AIM pulled out a pair of sharp scissors. With each harsh snip, Aya's long black hair was cut off strand by strand. Seeing the despair and helplessness in Aya's eyes, AIM felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, like she had finally gotten even. But this act slowly pushed them toward their own destruction. Retribution came quickly. That night, AIM sat in front of the mirror, brushing her hair. She suddenly noticed the brush was tangled with white strands. Her heart tightened. She hurriedly looked up at the mirror. She saw a ghostly figure standing behind her in the reflection, staring at her coldly. She turned around, trembling, but saw nothing. Just as she let out a sigh of relief, a scream woke up her roommates. Still shaken, AIM looked at her shoulder and found 3 bloody scratches on it. Even more disturbing, Xiaohua, who had also taken part in the bullying, had the exact same wounds on her shoulder. Xiaohua, being from the north, immediately recognized it as the Ghost Mother's death mark. In her hometown, the Ghost Mother was known as a fiercely protective evil spirit. She usually lived inside a clay doll guarding her host. If the host was ever harmed, she would take revenge tenfold, killing anyone who bullied them. Stubborn as ever, AIM didn't believe any of it. To prove it was all nonsense, early the next morning, she went to find Aya again and brutally beat her without mercy. She stomped hard on Aya's face, grinding it under her foot again and again, while constantly mocking her. "Aren't you protected by the ghost mother? Then have her come out and kill me if she can." After being humiliated like that, Aya completely lost all hope. Under the cover of night, she secretly went to find Awe. Through tears, she begged him to help her escape, but Awe said there was nothing he could do. A violent storm was raging out at sea. The only ferry had already been destroyed. There was no signal on the island to contact the outside world. Escaping was simply impossible. Heartbroken and defeated, Aya had no choice but to turn back. And this scene was seen by Aim, who was still awake. The next day, overcome with jealousy, Aim made a false accusation. In this place, like a prison for the living, secret meetings between boys and girls were strictly forbidden. To make an example out of her, the principal publicly subjected Aya to a brutal whipping. This reckless act by the principal completely awakened the slumbering evil spirit. Later that night, the principal entered the girls' dorm to inspect. Unexpectedly, the oil lamp in his hand suddenly went out. Right after that, he saw a dark figure appear at the end of the dorm. It was humming a strange and eerie tune. Terrified out of his mind, the principal instinctively backed out of the room. With a loud bang, the door slammed shut right in front of him. He thought he had escaped danger, but then a trail of footprints appeared on the ground. Everyone who heard the noise rushed out to see what was going on. They saw the principal standing there, his face filled with terror. There were 3 bloody scratches across his neck. Even Aimu, who never believed in anything supernatural, started to panic. To find out whether the ghost mother was real, they searched through Aya's bed. Sure enough, they found a clay figure, but this one was whole, with the head and body still attached. Back in Xiaohua's hometown in the American South, a newborn's first cry is believed to attract possession by the ghost mother. Adults perform a ritual to separate the clay figure's head from its body, symbolically redeeming the child. But Aya's figure was still intact, which meant her bond with the ghost mother had never been broken. But to stubborn Aimu, this terrifying explanation sounded like complete nonsense. Since they had already crossed the line, she decided to go all the way. She and her follower dragged Aya to a dry well by force, then kept pressuring her step by step until Aya fell into the well.
ก็รออยู่ที่นี่ดูสักคืนนะแต่ถ้าอยากออกมามึงก็ลองเรียกแม่มึงมาช่วยดูสิ
After that, the two of them covered the well with a heavy stone slab, showing a complete lack of humanity. That night, a sudden storm broke out. Cold rainwater poured relentlessly into the well, quickly rising up to Aya's chest, just as she was losing hope and about to drown. At the same time, Awe, who was searching for Aya in the rain, noticed a blurry figure ahead. Thinking it was Aya, he hurried after it. The figure led him to a patch of grass and then disappeared. Only then did he discover the sealed dry well. Thanks to this strange guidance, Aya managed to survive. The next morning during assembly, just when Aimu thought there was no evidence left, she was shocked to see Awe helping Aya walk back. As the truth was about to come out, the guilty follower suddenly accused first, claiming Aya had secretly met Awe in the middle of the night. Before Aya could explain herself, the dorm supervisor slapped her hard across the face. Awe was about to react, but the principal, who had been watching, sternly stopped him and said the matter would be fully investigated. After this farce, Xiaohua helped Aya treat her wounds in the dorm. Taking the opportunity, Aya finally revealed her secret about the ghost mother. It turned out that her bond with the ghost mother wasn't something she was born with. When she was very young, she once found a headless clay figure body in the woods. Out of curiosity, she took the protective clay head she carried and attached it to the body. From that moment on, the ghost mother began to stay by her side. Anyone who tried to harm her would face the ghost mother's revenge, returned with even greater force. Those traffickers back then were twisted to death by the ghost mother for touching her. By the time she finished telling the story, it was already late at night. One by one, the candles in the hallway went out. The fiercely protective ghost mother came right on time for the follower who had hurt Aya earlier that day. In her sleep, the follower suddenly snapped her eyes open, feeling an invisible hand gripping her throat. The suffocating pressure left her unable to make a sound. Her body rose uncontrollably into the air. With a series of sharp cracking sounds, her limbs were violently broken. In an instant, she went completely still. Aya watched everything coldly, without a trace of pity in her eyes. Early the next morning, everyone gathered around the dry well. When Aimu heard the news and rushed over, she froze in terror on the spot. A girl who had been bullied during the day found herself grabbed by an invisible hand while trying to sleep at night. Her body lifted uncontrollably into the air, accompanied by the sharp crack of bones breaking. Her arms and legs were violently twisted, and she went completely still in an instant. The next morning, everyone gathered around the dry well. Aimu arrived upon hearing the news and froze on the spot in terror. The follower's body had been thrown by the well, his death grotesque and cruel. His body had been snapped in half, sending chills down everyone's spine. Aimu sank to the ground in despair, afraid she might be the next target. From that day on, the dormitory became forbidden territory. Everyone moved out, preferring to sleep on the floor in the hall rather than be near Aya. After someone had died, the principal could no longer remain idle. He immediately gave Awe a death order. By any means necessary, Aya, the curse-bringer, had to be removed. Meanwhile, Aimu sneaked into the archives room. She rifled through old newspapers, hoping to uncover Aya's background. What she found terrified her to the core. The headline screamed, Aya had caused over 30 deaths overnight at her previous school due to bullying. Even her own biological parents had fallen victim to the ghost mother. With no evidence, the police had exiled her to this isolated island. The principal had thought removing her would ensure survival, but the sea was too rough. The boats couldn't reach the shore. Since she couldn't be taken away, she had to be made to disappear forever. For the safety of the entire school, the principal crept to Aya's bed at night with a sharp knife. He drove it down into her bedding with all his strength. Seeing the blood stain the sheets, he thought he had finally eliminated the threat. But when he returned to his office, he saw a scene that froze his heart. Aya, who should have been dead, stood unharmed before his desk, coldly flipping through her own files. Refusing to give up, the principal swung the knife again. Aya caught it effortlessly with her bare hands.
แม่บอกว่าถ้าใครทำกูได้เลือดแม่จะมาเอาคืน
The principal tried to flee, but his own hands went out of control, forcing the sharp blade toward his own head. After dealing with the principal, Aya set all the files on fire. In the glow of the flames, the once weak girl vanished completely, replaced by a being consumed by hatred. It wasn't long before Aiden rushed to the principal, desperately seeking help, only to find a cold corpse instead. With his last safe support gone, he realized he was on his own. Aiden figured that if he could destroy the clay doll, there might still be a slim chance of survival. They tried smashing it with rocks and even burning it with fire, but no matter what they did, the clay figure remained completely unharmed. Meanwhile, Maya stood in front of Wade with blood all over her hands, crying that she had been bullied again. Wade was about to bandage her wounds when he accidentally caught a reflection in the mirror. There was a terrifying, ghostly figure clinging to Maya's back. That's when Wade realized Aiden had been telling the truth all along. Struggling to suppress his fear, he casually made an excuse and slipped away, quietly finding Aiden. They told everyone what they had discovered and claimed they had already locked the threat inside the lighthouse. Just as they finished speaking, Maya appeared behind them with a cold, emotionless stare. A simple wooden door was never going to stop her, not with that spirit empowering her. Looking at the people who had once bullied her, and then at Wade, who had betrayed her, Maya's heart finally went completely cold. Wade tried to talk her down, but one reckless guy in the crowd suddenly smashed a bottle over Maya's head. Blood streamed down her face, and it completely snapped her last thread of sanity. If the whole world wanted her dead, then fine, she'd take everyone down with her. The girl didn't even get a chance to scream before her head was gone. Everyone else panicked and ran. To survive, Aiden and Lily hid inside the lighthouse. But that kind of protection meant nothing in front of an enraged Maya. She kicked the door down and charged straight in with a knife. With nowhere left to run, Aiden had no choice but to fight back. The next second, he was badly injured and completely lost the ability to resist. Just then, Wade arrived after hearing the noise. He carefully helped the injured Aiden up, shielding him behind his back, and shouted at Maya to stop. Seeing the man she once trusted refusing to see right from wrong, Maya didn't hesitate for a second. She stabbed Wade to death on the spot. With her last possible savior gone, Aiden stumbled backward in pure terror. All Maya had left was one thought: take everyone down together. She lunged forward and struck again. The wooden platform couldn't hold the impact and suddenly broke apart. Both of them fell straight into the ocean, but they were lucky. They didn't die. Instead, the waves washed them onto another beach. The moment they landed, they started fighting like wild animals again. However, Maya had injured her lower back during the fall and quickly began to lose strength. Aiden seized the chance, pinned her down, grabbed a shard of glass, and prepared to finish it. At that exact moment, the sound of a rescue ship's horn echoed in the distance. Aiden hesitated. He had been trapped on the island for too long and wanted freedom more than anything. If the police showed up, he could clear his name. So between revenge and freedom, he chose freedom and let Maya go. He had no idea that this split-second decision would drag him into a far darker abyss. Maya suddenly let out a chilling, eerie laugh. She picked up the shard of glass and drove it deep into her own neck. Blood erupted instantly, and violent winds swept through the area. Then the ghost mother revealed her true form and slowly dragged Maya underground. This was the final sacrifice. She abandoned her body and used her own death to trap Aiden in an inescapable nightmare. From that moment on, Aiden would never be able to clear his name. In the end, the rescue team arrived. After inspecting the scene, Aiden, covered in blood, became the prime suspect. At that moment, Lily walked over with the surviving students. Aiden clung to them like a lifeline, begging them to testify for him and prove that Maya was the real culprit. But he forgot one thing. He had spent years bullying them. Watching their former abuser in trouble, they all chose silence without saying a word. Lily simply stared at him coldly and delivered a final, devastating remark.
ไม่เคยมีคนที่ชื่ออิงขวัญค่ะ
With the records destroyed and everyone turning against him, Aiden had no way to defend himself. What awaited him was a long, endless prison sentence.